We're back with conversations with Well Life Inc., your mental health and wellness hub. As I already said in the past episodes, we are in the middle of a transition. And Tembela, you find yourself in a middle of an explosion. She joined Pretoria Psychologists, as you can see, with the mugs. As I told you, you're still going to be seeing a lot of purple. You might even land on some of our pages, be it Twitter page or LinkedIn or YouTube. It will still say Pretoria Psychologists, but as I said before, we are in the middle of a transition. So she joined Pretoria Psychologists and soon realized that actually Pretoria Psychologists is a growing baby, and which is now called Well Life Inc. And she is part of our practitioners here at the practice as a counseling psychologist. So you might have been, you might be coming across her a number of times in the very near future episodes, doing her own thing there, shining in her own corner and shining her own light. So welcome very much, Tembela Zini.
Thank you.
And yeah, so in terms of just your own feel, I mean, today we are speaking, is marriage a protective factor or is it a risk factor for mental health? So in your own feel, just on the highlights, what do you think are some of those things that help marriages to be a protective factor or even, make marriages to be a risk factor?
I think marriages can be, a protective factor for mental health in the sense that marriage gives you that companionship. It's always so nice to have, a challenge and have somebody to actually talk through it with, challenge you on some perspectives that you have. So in that sense, it becomes that protective factor that people need. People do need people around, we have our bonding hormones, which is oxytocin. And in that sense, every now and then getting a hug from a partner does, give you that protectiveness that you need from a relationship like that for your mental health.
But then I will ask, why do you need marriage for that? I mean, the things that you talked about, a hug, you and I, because we are physical touch language speakers. So, we give each other hugs because we know the positive impact or the positive effects that it has on a person, or even talking. I mean, the other day I had a no-show, I think it was at 6 p.m. and you had just finished and you were here with me until my driver came. That is a conversation, and I was able to bounce some frustrations, and we were also able to speak about the future, especially the future of running, Comrades Marathon to be exact. So what will be different then in terms of that sense of belonging, in terms of marriage versus what I'm talking about with what I already have with you, or even any other person, be it in the practice or a friend?
Yeah, I think also marriage gives you that sense of security, I mean, we can have a conversation with a friend, but, marriage does give people that sense of this person's going to be around forever, because with the vows, you kind of do promise forever. Even though these days, it's not really forever, but that's what you're actually promising. And because of that, it gives you that protective factor to say, okay, even if I have a conversation with Tembela at the office, when I get home, my partner's there, I'm going to continue the conversation. And every single night, I'll have them to, bounce off these ideas. I'll have them to have that hug and, get that kiss or whatever that I need at that particular time. So I think marriage just gives you that extra bit of security that guarantees that this person is here for me. This person really is interested in my, well-being and me becoming who I really want to be. Yeah.
I know I'm being the devil's advocate here.
Please do.
Is it that sense? Maybe would you say that sense is maybe somewhat an illusion? You're talking about, you said, when marriage, or at least forever, we go into it with the forever mind, but we know nowadays, I mean, we almost hitting the divorce rate of 50%, which means there's half a chance that it might not be the forever. So would you say then maybe it's an illusion that people create? And now I will tell you where that might also be coming from, and it's a recent couple that I've been seeing, and I'm still seeing them now. And I asked them, what is in it for you in your marriage? So what is I'm looking for the proper term because it's a drops mic kind of a term. Oh yes, how is your marriage serving you? Because for about 3 sessions I could not hear how is now their union. So they're in a partnership. They are not necessarily married in a conventional way, but they've been together for over 16 or so years. And I said, how is it serving you? And it was difficult for them to come with that response. But then the lady started talking about stuff that was more of a practical or pragmatic versus the emotional stuff, because for her the marriage, the contract, the signing is more important than being a partner or the belonging to somebody else. So yeah, I'm asking about, would you say then could it be an illusion?
It could be an illusion, but I think also, remember, when I come into a relationship with someone and I'm saying, okay, I'm marrying you and this is forever, there's this idea that we're going to be together, and I grab onto that, and that's what I want to keep going for forever. Now, depending on the contract of the marriage, I think that's what will determine, is this an illusion or is this real? Is this my real forever, or am I just pretending like this is just, until I get whatever that I need. And people do typically, generally these days, we go into relationships with, I need this need satisfied. I have this list. This is what must serve me in this relationship. And because of such things, I think that, starts becoming is this really protecting my mental health or not? Because now my needs aren't fulfilled. Because now, this relationship isn't forever and I expect it forever. I think those are the things that start to tie in and, feed into the issue of the mental health and marriage being the protective factor.
Yeah. And maybe then becoming the risk factor.
Yeah, then things start changing.
Yes.
Yeah, the climate starts changing. And why are we even married? Those questions start to pop up in couples therapy. Why did I marry this person? Do I still want to be married to this person? Because now things start to change. We start moving from the landscape of this is now protecting me and helping me and serving me to this is becoming a frustration, this is a challenge. And it's then that we start to interrogate those reasons of why am I married? Is this serving me? And yeah.
I'm even thinking, with what you have pointed out right at the beginning, to say when a person has got a sense of belonging, they know this is their person, they are bonded. Would you then say that self-esteem or self-concept is very much tied in? Because when we talk mental health, obviously it's a number of things, and how we see it also, it's behaviorally, where then a person's self-esteem will be boosted. So I will hear a lot of people who are in risk factor mentally, who will say, but if I leave, I'm successful in all the areas of my life. If I leave, then I will feel like a failure. So most of the time, they will still be in what you and I might term a risk factor. So they are unsettled, they are unhappy. But for them, they would rather stay in that, because in the broader society, they look like somebody because they are tied to this person, or they belong to this person. Or even for a man, because I'm with this kind of a woman who looks this way, be a trophy wife, or she makes me look good. When I'm in the boardroom, I call the shots because this is my wife.
I guess, you really touched on something that I've really also noticed when it comes to marriage, and, couples, and what it is that they experience in the relationship, in the sense that, if I'm going to question myself, and marriage gives you that opportunity where if I'm questioning myself and my self-esteem is not really there, start to project it onto you, and you also do the same. And if this relationship is not really bringing out that esteem and all of those emotional needs that I need brought out, then that's when we start to face all those challenges. Yeah.
So I have a problem. So would you then say, and maybe is it an egg and a chicken kind of a question? Is it that I come in to a marriage to feel good about myself, or I should be feeling good about myself? Which part of the marriage being a protective factor in mental health? Is it the before or is it the after? Yes.
I think it should be both.
Sure.
I think it should be both, because when I come in, I should feel good about myself. I should be comfortable within myself. But as I get into the marriage reveals other parts of me. And then even those parts, they need to grow into me feeling good, being okay with myself, accepting myself, being confident, etc. So I think it's both, because the confidence, the esteem that you need after marriage is quite different from the one that you need after marriage, because of the challenges that would be different. Because at this point, which is after marriage, you are a different version of yourself. There's, a different you that is required. And so a different esteem is required as well. So perhaps you actually need both, but I think it sets you off for a good start if you are, okay before, if you feel you have the esteem, you are confident, your self-concept is intact. And so when you get in, you're not doing too much work. You just cruising a bit in the beginning, and then you start to do the hard work as you go into it. Yeah.
And this is ironical. I like quoting it. And when you're talking about coming in and you change a bit, your self-concept, you adjust, you grow, you develop. They say, and I don't know who says this, but they say the other time I wrote a post and I say, meaning that hearsayers are problematic basically. But they say a woman gets married to a man hoping that he changes, and he does not. So I will fix him, I will package him.
I find my project and I start working on my project. And then when my project doesn't, become what I need it to be, then I start getting frustrated.
Talk to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish my phrase, but talk to that. Exactly that.
All the time.
Exactly that.
I think that is one of the biggest reasons why people come to couples therapy. It's like, okay, I've been working on this thing for 5-10 years. And it's not
12 years, 20 years.
Yeah, it's just not working out. He's not, becoming the person that I actually listed in all those, in my list.
Yes.
I've ticked like 3, but I've got 7 missing.
Yeah. And the 3, you might be lucky. It could be that because it was his own will.
Yeah.
The 3.
Yeah.
So the phrase,
he's not even going to compromise with those ones, because it's who he is.
He is, sure. Yeah. So the phrase, and maybe that's also the illusion of us as women, and I will confess, because the statement says women get married to a man hoping that he changes, and he does not change. And the other way around, a man gets married to a woman hoping that she does not change, and she changes.
Yes. Yeah.
So now we've got this 2 discordant position of another one having to change, by virtue of
nature.
Yeah, I found you this way, you were this in Zoglungis, I will put braces, I will, I will send you, you'll be a good dad, you will be better with finances, administratively, whatever. You will be a CEO or either a C-suit or a B-suit, you'll be on boards. And then, as I said, the other way around, which is for a woman, come with size 28 and the babies later, then this size 30, whatever. And then, because women are we evolve, down the line, it's like, who are you? I don't know you. This is not the person I got married to. Maybe a person was a village girl and came to the city, and they think because you saw the lights, that's why we clever. Yeah. But it's not because of that. It's because we develop, we change so much that a person is waking up next to you and thinking, who are you? And where does it become a protective factor? Exactly that, differences in the expectation, and when does it become a risk factor?
Sure. I think sometimes if we look at where we're going, if we sort of have an idea of a common destination with these changes, and wherever the changes take us. I mean, if you decide that you guys want to be CEOs of this big company together, or open up, a couple of restaurants or whatever, my body changing or not is not really going to impact that not happening or happening. But now, so if we have that common goal together, whether you become the guy with the 6-pack,
sure,
and I become the girl with the size 42 from a size 28, doesn't really matter.
Absolutely.
Because we're still going to get to the goal. And I think that is the issue, where if we don't get to these goals that we have, these dreams, these aspirations, because for the most part, we sell each other a dream when we get married.
Absolutely.
I'm going to do this, we're going to drive this, we're going to live guy.
By the way, do you know what I had? As I was in my Uber driver said to me, I said, you need to be honest. And I'm hoping I'm not overly identifying, because, I use a common person for my rides. And I said, you need to tell your person the truth. He says, no, that's not how it works. We need to sell the dream.
How does, yes.
And then when a person has fallen,
then it's all good.
It's all good, because they are in, and he says it in Shangaan, or like he's in head. So
first.
Meaning that whatever is gonna happen, she needs to be blinded by the fact that it was good at the beginning. Yeah. And I was like, oh, is that your trick? Is that how it works? So when you're talking about, selling each other dreams, and I've challenged this couple to say, what are your goals? Because we were going around the circles. And I said, you talking about context. She said she did, Cup moved here, vase that, car this, school that, but we're not talking about principles.
Yes, yeah.
Your goals, I don't hear them coming forth.
The values.
And that was also even at the heart of the contention, because both value different things. There's nothing wrong with valuing different things. There's nothing wrong with being so different. Actually, that's what makes the spice.
Yeah.
But I think it was the foundation in which whatever was built on. But anyway, continue. So I was reminded when you were talking about the goals and selling each other these dreams, and it does not matter whether you are size 32 or, you become an amputee later on. Are we going towards?
Are we going towards the goal that we had initially agreed on?
Sure.
And you'd be surprised, so many people don't have, any sense of a vision or
those goals. And that's what I find is very frustrating when they come. And that's why they circle, because they did not have a place so that they can say, all right, where we have come in our marriage therapy or counseling, have we come about the fundamental stuff, about if we're talking about finances. So I said, I had to say to this couple, because they kept on saying to me, we have communication problems. I said, there's no communication problems.
I love it when people self-diagnose.
No. I said,
what does that actually mean? Because, communication is such a nice word to just drop.
I said you're communicating. I said you're communicating all the time.
Right now, you are actually communicating.
Your actions are communicating.
Your bodies are communicating.
And I said, the thing is, you guys are talking all the time about so much deep things none of you want to hear, because you don't want to accept the truth about the other person. So basically, the other person can be telling you in so many words that they don't like you, they don't love you, but you're not listening. All they want is, the bed, the bedroom, and then that's all you good for.
A great wife.
But the other stuff, you're not listening.
I think also we just generally as people, we struggle with, feedback. So if your partner is telling you that, hey, but right now, you're not really doing great with such and such and this, we struggle with it because sometimes we just feel like it's an attack. And maybe right now in the marriage, the issue that you guys are facing is finances. And now, your partner is just reflecting back what they're experiencing of you. And then you end up fighting about these finances. But actually, you're running away from what they're actually communicating, that you're not doing well in this area and you're making me feel a certain way about this. And then it becomes becomes the issue of finances are not going well. No, your finances, money is coming in, but maybe we need to work on how you're distributing it, how you're managing it. But the real issue is how you guys are making each other feel. The real issue is how you are actually receiving what the other person is trying to communicate consistently. And the relationship is actually communication. Because it's how you are listening to me, how I'm listening to you, how we are having this interaction back and forth the whole time. So it's always there. The communication is always there. It's always, never not there.
Always. Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the other thing that kind of gives marriage that bubble of protection, is that there's this constant communion, there's this constant ability to relate to the other person. But how well we do it is where the mental health stuff starts coming in.
Sure. And what do you want to say about that? When you say, how well or maybe how poorly we do it, that's where the mental health stuff comes in.
Yeah. In the sense that at times we aren't really able to recognize when, right now I'm projecting. Right now I can feel that.
Can you tell a layperson what projecting is?
So right now I'm feeling maybe I'm not feeling great about myself, and now my partner's just told me that, hey, I don't think you should wear this dress today. It doesn't make you look good, and then I just go on and I explode
about my grandmother.
I
basically I bring my grandmother into the conversation,
and they just said, no man, this dress is not going to look good. Maybe today is really a cold day and you should wear a dress that's a bit warmer. And then I explode about something else, and then that becomes the issue, that you're always picking on my how I dress, and that's not the real issue. The real issue is that maybe you don't like to be spoken to in a certain way, maybe you don't respond well to feedback, and maybe that's something you need to reflect on as an individual and say, okay, I need to work on this. And the good thing about marriage is that it's going to show you that, it's going to allow you that opportunity to work on you, right? So that the marriage and the relationship gets better.
Right. I don't know if you have come across it, but I love it a lot and I use it a lot. I've come across, and I mean, because we are the Oprah generation, back then, I think 20 plus years ago, I've had Dr. Havel Hendricks on Imago Therapy on the Oprah show, and later on bought the book, and I like using the work where basically is that marriage is almost the only relationship that will be able to mirror your childhood hurts, difficulties, insecurities, and they will reflect them back at you. So yes, you might have friendships and collegial relations, your neighbor, your siblings, but in marriage, because we go in, we are basically supposed to be healed from those wounds, and that's why we choose the kind of partners that we choose most of the time. And there's an old say of saying, as a woman you choose your father, as a man you choose your mother. And people are not aware what does that actually mean. It just means that whatever wounds or unresolved, actually you choose it in the partner so that then they can be resolved in a way. But this is all subconscious stuff, and that's why then we invite people to therapy, because on a day-to-day you are
unable to pick it up.
No, you are operating on the conscious. You are not operating on the subconscious, and we go in with you to the subconscious. The projection that you're talking about, where I'm saying the dress, and then I go to grandmother, because maybe that's how grandmother used to speak to me, and I did not feel like an equal, or I felt like I was talked down on, or I felt like grandmother changes rules whenever she comes. I mean, my own grandmother used to make us almost that's what my friend said. They used to say, one day we'll find your grandmother making you clean the roof. That's the level of spring cleaning that my grandmother used to. So maybe I'm holding on to that, and I'm quite angry, I'm bitter, I'm resentful, I've not resolved that. And then when somebody talks about the dress, then it takes me back to grandmother, which it has nothing to do with right now and the dress. It's because of the stuff that I did not process. And maybe in conclusion, I can't believe how much time has run out. Maybe speak to how do we navigate the fine line or the thin line between where we make it to be a protective factor or where we slide to marriage becoming a risk factor?
I think one thing we need to do is actually accept that, we are human and we will have these life experiences. We will have these challenges in marriage, and it will do all of this that it is doing. And I must just, allow it to do what it does. Allow marriage to do what marriage does, so that then, you can work through the stuff that you is unconscious, and you can work through the stuff that is obviously conscious and, a challenge, so that, you can actually sift through your protective factors and your non-protective factors in this marriage, and make this marriage something that is enjoyable, something that is a stable relationship that you find yourself in, that you grow in, and you evolve and become the person that you want to be, and in the end reach those goals and vision that you had in the beginning. Yeah.
But then that means
working on yourself a lot,
exactly, and also having those visions and those goals, knowing what are your values. I know I'm putting you on the spot right now, but what do you think the audience or the listeners or the tuners can be looking forward to, be it next month or even in maybe a series of some episodes that we can be having a discussion on, myself, yourself, other people, inviting other colleagues or even other guests? So what is something that is quite topical, that is on your mind, that you think you want to just have a conversation around?
So I think we will definitely be talking more on relationships, the changing landscape of relationships, the different types of relationships people are getting into and not getting into, how, women and men are choosing, these type of relationships. We'll also be talking a lot on, topical issues, current issues that are happening in the country. Everybody is kind of feeling anxious with everything that's going on. And so all the anxieties around, the political, social issues that are happening. So the tuners in or the listeners can definitely look forward to those.
Most definitely. And thank you so much, Thembela, for, this impromptu conversation. I think the tuners don't know that it was planned, in less than 5 minutes, but because we just wanted to share this, and this is common experiences and things that we see a lot in our therapy room. And I think it can be helpful for you to just take that in. And any topic that you want us to discuss, that you want us to maybe delve deeper in, let us know. Maybe you might also want to be a guest in our conversations. So we welcome you with whatever journey that you are working through. Remember, we are mental health experts, and so that will be anything that you want us to look at it from a psychological point of view. So with that, thank you for tuning in on this Conversations with Well Life Inc., your mental health and wellness hub. Thank you.
Thank you.